Hello, everyone. Very excited to be back in Mexico City and at Finnosummit. I haven't been here since December 2019. We were just reminiscing. And the last time I was in this venue was in Finnosummit in 2017. So a lot of good memories coming back. So I'm Mike Packer. I'm with QED Investors. We're a fintech venture capital fund focused globally, based out of the US, but focused globally. We've been pretty active in Latin America the last 6-7 years. And I'm currently leading our LATAM investments, and one of which is on the panel today, which we'll get to. But very excited about the region and all the things going on in the space. So without further ado, we're going to talk about the future of crypto. And we're going to do quick intros on the panel. If I could start with you, Arnaldo. Well, unless you want Barbara to go. We'll start with Barbara.
Yeah,
we'll do that.
Ladies first.
We'll do a little twist here. We'll see how our improv goes. So Barbara, if you could give us a quick intro, and then at the end, could you give a little bit of just light on where LATAM is with respect to crypto when you look at a global lens? Are we as advanced as other geographies? Are we behind? Are we in front? If you could offer your perspective there, it'd be great.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mike. And it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for the invite. My name is Barbara González Briceño. I am the CFO at Bitso. Bitso is the largest crypto platform in Latin America. We are a crypto exchange, as colloquially known, and we match buyers and sellers who want to purchase different types of cryptocurrencies. We operate in Mexico, Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, El Salvador. And we are a end-to-end regulated platform, and that has always been a very important part of our ethos as a company. We're around 700 people in 40 different countries, so we're very well diversified. And we are super excited about our mission, which is making crypto useful. And to your question on where is crypto in Latam, for us, Latin America has always been the perfect land for a disruption such as the crypto technology. Because we are a series of countries where the banking industry has been so strong that it has stifled innovation. There has been very little disruption. And the fintech boom is like something very recent, but like up until a decade ago, it was banks dominated the space. So I think that we are so lagging that there's such an enormous opportunity. We are now operating in a country in a region where cryptocurrencies, transactions in cryptocurrencies from Latin America represent around 9% of the total transacted volume in the world. We are operating in a place where in Mexico you have around 5 million people using crypto, but in Brazil the number is a lot bigger, closer to 20 million people. And the market is huge. And I think that one of the things that I'm seeing today compared to 4 years ago when I first joined Bitso is that the market is now accepting the technology. It has realized that this is nothing that they can deny anymore, and it's something that it's going to be embedded on their everyday moving forward. So very excited about what's coming.
Excellent. Thanks, Barbara.
Yeah, great. So Arnaldo Reyes, running digital partnerships, fintech and ventures at Visa for Latin America. And I very aligned with what you're saying. The reality is that when you think about the thesis behind crypto and blockchain technology, to me it matches hand and glove with Latin America. I can say this because I'm from the region. We are not the most stable of people across our markets. We deal with constant political, social, economic unrest, hyperinflation, currency controls. And the reality is that when you think beyond, Bitcoin, which has always been seen as kind of, the definition of crypto and blockchain, when you think beyond that and you think about the underlying technology, I think there's tremendous opportunity to improve and increase efficiency and a lot of transparency in the way value moves across Latin America for a variety of use cases. From our end, we've seen tremendous appetite on the retail side, so consumers going to platforms like Bitso and wanting to have some level of exposure to this not new asset class, but new perhaps for Latin America. And then we've seen it on the institutional side as well. So when you think about our client base, which are to a large part banks and large merchants, banks are now realizing that as part of the product stack, they need to offer some form of crypto capability or crypto solution to their end customers, because their end customers are now requesting, that crypto exposure. And when we think about, everything that goes on in Latin America, when you think about in my case, what I believe is excessive margins on very simple transactions, right? And how blockchain technology can not come to eliminate the traditional players, but come to complement and introduce a lot of functionalities that can basically lower the cost, right? And I think that is what we're here for. And to your point about make crypto useful, I was telling Mike behind stage that 6 or 5 years ago, I was part of a startup called Abra. And I remember coming to Mexico in 2016 and trying to create this crypto wallet and having all the doors shut. And you fast forward 5 years later, and you have companies like Bitso that have scaled enormously across Latin America. And now crypto is seen as this real institutionally accepted asset class, right? So very bullish on Latin America. I think the secular winds are there for crypto and blockchain technology, more importantly, to continue advancing in the region.
That's great. So maybe one thing would be great to get some conversation on is just the regulatory environment around these things. And the answer is going to be different in different countries and different for different use cases. But we're talking about a large amount of use cases or ideas to bring decentralized finance and bring crypto as an asset class to more people in Latin America. Where are we in terms of regulation? And I think it's a broad question because I think you could answer specifics in different countries. But where are we in terms of regulation? What are the biggest opportunities or roadblocks that you guys see? Barbara, maybe we could start with you guys.
Yeah. As you were asking the question, I was remembering that 3 years ago, I would get super nervous when those questions would come up in a panel like this. And I would always ask the moderator, let's not get into regulation because it's a really sore topic. But today, I think we cannot generalize across the region because every country is very different. What we've seen is that there's definitely an evolution, and some countries have come further and faster than other countries. In just last week, we were sitting with the president of Colombia because he personally wants to push this agenda forward. And what we've seen in Colombia, it's definitely much more advanced than what we've seen in places like Argentina or Mexico. But Brazil also is a country where the conversation is so heated up and there's so much that is being brought to the table because actually regulators understand that it's better to work hand in hand with the companies instead of being doing the pushback. Particularly in Mexico, I think that we've seen it's still a reluctant region. It's still a place where the authorities haven't gotten super comfortable with regulating the technology fully. But I think that the openness that they've shown in the past few years and how receptive they've been to players like ourselves who are trying to do things the right way and figuring out a way to get oversight, because that's the objective of being regulated is for the customer's benefit. Yep. We want to make sure that we have enough oversight to keep on delighting the customers and always safeguarding their funds. So I think the regulators are receptive to this, and there's still a very long way to go. I think Europe was definitely way ahead of the Americas, but we're seeing the US how it has advanced, and I think that Latin America will follow, but it's still a long way to go.
Yeah, for sure. Anything you'd add, Roadblock?
Yeah. So I actually think that having some form of regulatory framework in place is actually going to drive crypto adoption, right? And that's because there are segments of the broader population, perhaps the institutional segments, that view this somewhat of illegitimate or speculative or whatever adjective you want to use. And I think once there's a regulatory framework in place, it gives an increased sense of assurance that there is a framework and these are not Ponzi schemes or whatever. Yeah. And there are markets that are advancing, right? And I think the reason they're advancing is because they realize that this is no longer a group of early adopters. Initially, Bitcoin was a bunch of libertarians taking down the government, Bitcoin, and there are still pockets of that. But I think governments are realizing that this could really come and transform everything from interbank settlement payments to how people send and receive remittances, right? So there is a viable use case, a viable application to the technology. And yes, countries like Colombia, with all of the advancement they're making on these, supervised sandbox environments and inviting crypto players to engage with banks in those markets. Brazil, 2-3 weeks ago, made an extra step in the bill that they're proposing. Panama is very far ahead. So there's all of these markets out there that I think regulators are beginning to understand this technology is not going to disappear, and you can't really shut down the internet, right, in that sense. And part of what we're doing at Visa is educating regulators, right? Because the first thing, when you mention crypto and blockchain, the first thing they think about is Bitcoin, scams, Silk Road, like all of these negative connotations. Yeah. So a lot of the job of Visa and perhaps Bitso and some of these other companies is educating regulators on what's what and the applicability of that technology long term. And the last thing I'll say is the other factor that's influencing regulators to act a little bit more is that most of the central banks in Latin America are either exploring, engaging, or are already launching pilots with CBDCs, right? So that forcefully, in a way, is creating regulators to give a little bit more attention to this. So I'm very bullish, to be honest, and I do think that some regulatory framework will drive the adoption of crypto and blockchain technology.
Yeah, I fully agree with you guys. I mean, one of the reasons we ended up working with Bitso is because of this kind of regulatory forward framework. And I think in fintech more broadly, right, it's very, very important to understand the rules of the road. So can totally see it being an opportunity. So Arnoldo, back to you in Visa. I appreciate the insight on the educating regulators.
Yeah.
I mean, Visa, obviously an enormous global payments company. I mean, what are your top priorities in crypto, maybe for the next year or some kind of near-term view that you guys are working on?
Yeah, so to be completely honest, we've really shifted our view on crypto as of 3 years ago, right? Before, it was kind of noise and all of that. I think particularly the last 24, 36 months as a company, we've said this is absolutely, relevant technology, but more important than that, when Visa was founded 60 years ago, the founder, D. Hawk, was really focused on one thing. It wasn't credit, debit cards, prepaid cards, and all of that stuff. He was really focused on building a company that electronically could move value, right, period. And that value over the last 60 years has taken a completely different form, right? It's pesos, yens, British pounds, or whatever. Value now is in the form of digital assets and cryptocurrency. So for us, it's a couple things. One is facilitating the on and the off ramps, right? So working with exchanges around the world to enable people that have a Visa card to actually be able to buy cryptocurrency with their Visa card, right? So that's sort of the first thing. The second thing is the off ramp. We want to make sure that users have a utility aside from just buying Ethereum or Bitcoin and have it in their wallet. And we've seen actually a 500% increase in payment volume of crypto-linked Visa cards. So our partnerships with companies like Coinbase, Crypto.com, Fold, BlockFi, et cetera, we have over 70 of those around the world. We're now seeing people that are using a Visa Coinbase card, right, drawing on their crypto balance in restaurants and paying for trips. And that's when I think you hit an inflection point, right, when cryptocurrency actually becomes an actual form of exchanging value in the real world, right? So a lot of our focus on that, again, I'll rehash, focused on educating regulators, educating clients, and that's really right now where we are, right?
Barbara, how about you guys? If you look at the next 12 months, what are your top focus priorities here?
It's interesting because I was listening to you and I was thinking, we're so lucky that you've shifted your view because precisely like having people like you on the table, like trying to push this agenda forward, is what makes our industry, I think, move faster. And I think like in 3 years, how much it has changed. But the fact that today it's like widely adopted across the world, because now it's no longer like a taboo topic, it's fantastic. Like I think we're very much along the lines of what Arnoldo said. Like I think we understand the need of the user to to go beyond the speculative piece. And we've never wanted to be a casino. Like, we've never wanted to just be some place where people can get rich or poor overnight. We really want to make sure that the rails that we are building can have like a very strong use case that actually solves a lot of the frictions that users have in the region. And making sure that we continue producing product along those lines is very important. Just like earlier this month, we launched our interest generating product, and now we're now giving back interest in dollars and in Bitcoin for all our users all across the region. And that's something that if you think in the US, yeah, it's appealing, but if you think for people who have never been able to save in dollars, because like they live in jurisdictions where they can't even have a bank account in dollars. And now they can earn interest on that, and then they can transact it and send it to like in real time to you or you wherever you are, like regardless of the country. I think as we start integrating all these services, that's where we're going to really make the difference. We're actually in the process of launching our card as well, precisely for that, because users need to have an outlet of how they can actually use their balances. And yeah, like I think we're trying to focus a lot in making sure that it goes beyond the speculation.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, we bought a crypto punk, right? I mean, 3 years ago, you would have said, Visa buying a crypto punk? Like, what are you thinking, right? So it plays to all of this going on, and I think it's just going to continue. The momentum's. To me, there is no crypto winter. It's the fall season, but
I don't know if Barbara agrees that there's no crypto winter.
Yeah.
For me, there is.
But
Yeah, I mean, look, I think we're pretty aligned. I mean, for QED, we're still feeling a lot like we're in learning mode, still feeling like there's so much kind of moving and so much opportunity in the space. We are obviously quite bullish in the consumer kind of crypto super app, consumer crypto bank, and all the things that you can kind of do on that type of platform, especially as you start to think about things like NFTs and DeFi communities and a bunch of the things that have been kind of hyped up. But I think as you kind of get through some of that, and again, my view of a crypto winter, right? We're gonna be able to kind of get through some of the cloudiness of projects that were kind of maybe a little more hyperbole than reality, and find what is useful and what is functional. So I think at the end, right, if we take this long view, which is probably what you mean, Arnaldo, we still very much believe that there's lots of opportunity here. But make no mistake, we are in a bit of a rough spot. Barbara, care to comment on the current market conditions?
Yeah, so we operate in a cyclical industry, and that's the reality. And I think that for people who are very new to the industry, it's easier to get more anxious. But the reality is that this is how our industry has been growing, because the winters, and I do believe that we're currently in a coldish moment of our cycles, everything slows down, and it allows us to build and to reassess and to double down on the initiatives that are actually like sparking value and the ones that are not. And when everything's going too fast, it's very hard to make sure that you're building towards the real place where you want to go, because you just said it, like there's a lot of noise. I do think that it also allows us to see who the real players who are going to endure are going to be. Like I think after this cycle, there's going to be a lot of players that we're going to realize that they weren't suited to continue in this industry, and there's going to be ones that are going to come out stronger. And we really believe in making sure that we have a position to come out stronger on the other end. Particularly because of cycles like this, that's where you want to diversify your product offering away from only the volatile piece. And for example, the remittance piece is where it comes very strong for us. Like we have, you already mentioned it, but we have a remittance product that's beautiful, where we work with remitters in the US and we help them like complement their business and bring money to families in Mexico. And through like cents on the dollar and very fast, and eliminating a lot of the frictions that a traditional market has seen. So those are like acyclical, or at least less cyclical products that help us endure during this complex times.
Yes, for sure. And Arnaldo, I don't know if you care to comment, but I presume your statement means something like you're continuing to focus and invest at almost the same as you were before.
Yeah, look, I think that when I think of crypto winter or fall or whatever, what I mean by that is that long term, I'm still very bullish on the technology, right? And I think as a company, when we think about this strategy that we have called the network of networks and how do we expand into all of these new ways of moving money, we're still very bullish, right? We just made an investment recently in TRM Labs, right? That is focused on bringing compliance tools to the world of cryptocurrency and blockchain. So we'll continue signing more partnerships with exchanges and crypto wallets. We'll continue enabling these use cases where blockchain technology can facilitate, particularly things like large ticket B2B payments international. So I think as a company, yeah, you'll have these price volatilities in crypto assets or other assets. That's normal. I mean, anyone in financial services that hasn't been through a cycle, you really haven't been in financial services. But yeah, it's a good time, and I can't agree with you more. When things are booming, you can't even focus on products. You can't even focus on optimizing user experience. I mean, so now's actually a great time to sit down and figure out, does the product stack make sense? How do we build for growth and things like that?
That's right. So we're going to run out of time here, but Barbara, any last comments either about kind of something you're excited about we haven't caught, or response to Arnaldo here?
Yeah, I think my parting thought is that crypto is here to stay. Crypto is no longer a nascent technology. Crypto no longer is the future. Crypto is the present, and what Visa is doing, like, it's testament to that. I do think that if you are not in the space, I invite you to explore it somehow. Like, you can start whether it's with an NFT or with a wallet or with a payment, but test the technology, because I think that it's catching up to us, and very soon you won't realize it, but you'll be operating a lot of your everyday on a crypto or blockchain technology-based product. So yeah, just don't be scared and venture out.
It could definitely be a humbling space, for sure. Well, thank you both for spending time. We're getting flashed out here. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike, Barbara, and Arnoldo. Thank you very much for your presentation. Oh, hold your horses.
Oh,
we have questions, of course. Desde luego, la regulación va a ser un tema importante que se irá impulsando todo el tema de criptos y blockchain. Y coincido, es importantísimo diferenciar entre una cosa, lo típico que oímos de las cripto desde Bitcoin, diferenciarlo un poco de la tecnología blockchain y de todos los casos de uso que eso puede generar y que ya estuvieron platicando. Muchísimas gracias.
Además, Maurice, no se puede negar que cuando se habla del futuro de las criptomonedas, pues se puede generar un debate, una controversia, porque para algunos es un mal innecesario y para otros es toda una revolución.
Correcto. Okay, let's go to the questions. Number one, buy the dip or not? That's a joke.
Hold.
Or not.
Or hodl. What was it? Hodl.
No, the first question is, what are your thoughts on El Salvador's move to accept Bitcoin as currency, especially given the risk dip on Bitcoin?
For whom is that? I can tell you my point of view. I think that what El Salvador did by no means is perfect. But the reality is that it's a first mover in a world where we're going to see in the next decade a lot of countries adopt some version of what El Salvador did. Was it the right moment? Was it the right currency? Was it the right country to do it, or the right way? I think we could spark out of it. But the reality is that I'm very appreciative that they did that, because I think that you needed someone with a personality like his to defy everything and go against the current and make sure that you take a leap such as strong as this. I think it's a historic moment, and it's definitely going to shape a lot of what we're going to be seeing in governments interacting with the crypto. But it's definitely not going to be the perfect example.
So, Barbara, buy the dip or no?
I can give investment advice.
I can give investment advice. Thank you.
Another question. What stable coin do you think or consider stable enough in order to base a remittances business? And how risky is it?
Go ahead.
Who's next?
Yeah, I mean, Barbara, you're going to have to chime in, but I think, certainly, some of the things we're seeing globally in the U.S., stable coins aren't kind of what they were hyped up to be, or at least they look like on paper. And I think we're going to have to take a hard look at an industry of what stablecoin means, and going through some of these, cycles and blow-ups. I think unfortunately it's going to be part of the process. I think we as QED have been believers that there is a way to get the stablecoin access to different types of currency and to get volatility out. Whether we've kind of found it technically, that's way above my pay grade rather.
So I think we recently saw 3-4 weeks ago, not all stablecoins are stablecoins, particularly algorithmic stablecoins. But I do think that stablecoins will be, in my personal opinion, what drives massive adoption and actual use cases, right? We talk about remittances, we talk about P2P payments, we talk about B2B payments. If you're using the right stablecoin that by definition is backed by fiat currency deposited in a regulated financial institution, then I think when you tell an Argentine, hey, you can't buy dollars, but you can potentially buy a US dollar-backed version of the dollar, right? I'm very bullish on stablecoins, the right stablecoins, because that's what I think is going to enable all these new payment flows that we've always been talking about, that'll be powered by crypto and blockchain. Right?
Thank you.
Thank you. Nos
Thank you for
despedimos a
your
nuestros
remarks.
invitados, por favor, con un
Thank you.
fuerte aplauso.